Good day, everyone. We are the Group 4, and our topic is all about camera. Objectives. So, the purpose of this presentation is to analyze the dynamic range and low light capabilities of the camera, explore the usability and ergonomics of the camera for different types of photography, evaluate the build quality and weather sealing of the camera body and lenses, and know how to handle the cameras with care. Introduction. Cameras have become an essential part of our everyday lives, enabling us to capture special moments, document events, and express creativity through photography and videography. Camera technology has come a long way from the days of film cameras to the current digital era, giving users unprecedented convenience and capabilities. This introduction will give a quick rundown of camera technology, emphasizing its development, essential parts, and wide range of uses in a variety of industries. We can better appreciate the impact of camera technology on our lives and explore its potential in various domains of business and creativity if we have a basic understanding of it.
So, what is a camera? Camera is a light tight box with a lens to form and with a shutter and diaphragm to control the entry of the image, a means of holding a film to record the image, and a viewer or viewfinder to show the photographer what the image is. There are five fundamental components of camera. The first one is the light tight box. This refers to the body of the camera, which is designed to prevent unwanted light from entering the camera and affecting the image. Next is the lens to form an image. The lens gathers and focuses light into the camera sensor or film, creating a clear and focused image. The next one is the shutter and diaphragm to control the image entry. The shutter controls the duration of exposure, while the diaphragm regulates the amount of light entering the camera, affecting the depth of field and exposure. The next one is the means of holding a film. In traditional film cameras, this would be a film holder or cassette. In modern digital cameras, it's the sensor that captures the image electronically. And the last one is the viewer or viewfinder. This allows the photographer to compose the image and see what the camera sees, ensuring proper framing and focus. We all know that forensic photography involves capturing images of crime scenes, evidence, and other pertinent details for investigative purposes. So, cameras used in forensic photography need to document scenes accurately and provide high-resolution images for analysis and presentation in court. They typically have features such as high resolution, adjustable settings for exposure, focus, and lighting, and sometimes specialized attachments like macro lenses for capturing small details. The goal is to provide clear and ambiguous visual documentation that aids the investigation and legal proceedings. Camera classifications. Camera is classified according to the size of film they use. The format the picture they produce refers to the physical dimension of the image captured by the camera. So there are three. First one is the large format cameras. These cameras use large sheets of film, typically measuring 4 by 5 inches or larger. They are known for their high image quality, detail, and control over perspective and depth of field. Large format cameras are commonly used in professional photography for landscapes, architecture, and studio work where precision and image clarity are paramount. Next one is the medium format cameras. Medium format cameras use film or digital sensors larger than those found in small format cameras, but smaller than those in large format cameras. The most common medium format camera film size is 6 by 6 centimeters or 6 by 7 centimeters. Although there are variations, medium format cameras offers higher image quality and resolution compared to small format cameras, making them popular choice for portrait, fashion, and commercial photography. The last one is the small format cameras. Small format cameras, also known as 35mm cameras, used film or digital sensors with smaller dimensions compared to medium and large format cameras. The standard film size is 35mm wide, hence the name. Small format cameras are compact, versatile, and widely used for various types of photography, including street photography, photojournalism, and everyday snapshots. Number 2. The viewing and focusing system. The viewing and focusing system of a camera determines how the photographer sees and focuses on the subject before taking a picture. Those with focusing mechanism at the back of the camera. In cameras with this system, such as many digital cameras and some medium and large format film cameras, the focusing mechanism is located at the back of the camera body. Photographers use a digital display screen or electronic viewfinder to see the scene and adjust focus. This system offers the advantage of immediate feedback and the ability to review images on the same screen. With optical viewfinder. Cameras with an optical viewfinder use a system of mirrors and prism to reflect the scene directly into the viewfinder. When the photographer looks through the viewfinder, they see exactly what the camera sees through the lens. Optical viewfinders are common in DSLR or digital single lens reflex cameras and some mirrorless cameras. They provide a clear, real-time view of the scene, which many photographers prefer for its immediacy and accuracy, especially in fast-paced shooting situations. Number 3. Overall designs and functions. A. View camera. Large format cameras known for their modular design, allowing precise control over perspective, focus, and depth of field, commonly used in architectural and landscape photography for their unparalleled flexibility and control. B. System cameras. Interchangeable lens cameras like DSLRs and mirrorless cameras forming part of a versatile system with accessories such as lenses, flashes, and battery grips. They offer flexibility and customization for various photography genres. C. Digital cameras. Capture images electronically using digital sensors available in compact, DSLR, and mirrorless forms. Offer immediate feedback through LCD screens or electronic viewfinders. Featuring advanced autofocus system and in-camera processing capabilities, these have largely replaced film cameras due to convenience and versatility. So this is an image of a single lens reflex camera and its parts. So there are 17 parts of this single lens reflex camera, which includes the number 1, film rewind knob. It is used to rewind the film back into its cassette once it has been fully exposed. The number 2, exposure adjustment knob. Adjust the exposure settings such as aperture and shutter speed to control the amount of light entering the camera. Number 3. The control panel displays information about camera settings and exposure, such as aperture, shutter speed, and frame count. Number 4. On-off switch turns the camera on and off. Number 5. Command control dial used to select different camera modes or adjust settings like exposure compensation. Number 6. Accessories show and HUD show contact attachment point for external accessories like flash units or electronic viewfinders. Number 7. Film advanced mode plus exposure mode. Selects the film advanced mode, example single frame or continuous, and exposure mode, aperture priority or manual. Number 8. Multiple exposure mode. Allows multiple exposure to be made in a single frame film. Number 9. Film speed. Sets the sensitivity of a film. The number 10. Shutter release button. Press to take a photograph by opening and closing the camera shutter. Number 11. Self-timer indicator. Indicates when the self-timer function is active. 12. Depth of field review button. When pressed, stop down the lens aperture to review the depth of field in the final image. Number 13. Remote control terminal. Allows for remote operation of the camera using a compatible Remote 13 device. Number 14. Lens release button. Used to detach the lens from the camera body for lens changes. 15. Camera body plus objective lens. The main body of the camera, which houses the film and various internal components, along with the objective lens used for focusing light onto the film. 16. 50 mm 1.3.5 indicates the focal length and maximum aperture of the lens. And lastly, focus mode selector allows the selection of different focus modes such as manual or autofocus. So there are two types of digital cameras. The first one is those with fixed memory. This camera has a limited number of images it can capture. The user will be forced to download it into a computer. Cameras with fixed memory have a built-in storage capacity for storing images. Unlike cameras with removable memory cards, the storage capacity in these cameras is fixed and cannot be expanded. Once the camera reaches its storage limit, the user must either download the image to a computer or other external storage device to free up space for more pictures. This limitation means that users need to manage their storage space carefully, especially when shooting in situations where they may capture a large number of images. Additionally, without the ability to swap memory cards, users may need to transfer images from frequently to ensure they don't run out of space during important moments. The other one is those with removable memory. This camera allows the user to load and replace a variety of storage cards in much the same fashion as film is exposed and replaced with a new film. Removable media varies in size, in price, and compatibility with computers and other cameras. So, cameras with removable memory allows the users to insert and replace different types of storage cards, similar to how film is loaded and replaced in traditional cameras. Removable memory cards come in various sizes, prices, and compatibility with computers and other cameras. This flexibility enables users to choose the storage capacity and type of memory card that best suits in their needs and preferences. Additionally, removable memory cards facilitate easy transfer of images to computers or other devices for storage, editing, and sharing. Users can also swap out memory cards to expand storage capacity or organize images by project or event. And now let's tackle about the other features of digital cameras. Number 1. Image produced or taken by a digital camera can be viewed in a computer monitor or TV set. For hard copies of such image, a computer printed is used. It means that digital cameras capture images in digital format, stored in a memory card. These images can be transferred to a computer for viewing on monitors or TV sets. To obtain a hard copies, users send the digital image to the computer printer, which produces physical copies with high quality and detail. This process allows users to enjoy their digital images in both digital and physical formats for various purposes. Number 2. A liquid crystal device or LCD monitor. Digital point and shoot cameras often replace optical viewfinders with a liquid crystal display (LCD) monitor on the camera back. This versatile screen serves as a viewfinder, control panel, and instant playback monitor. Users can compose shots, adjust settings, and view images directly on the LCD screen, which provides real-time previews for accurate framing. Instant playback allow immediate review of captured images. The integration of the LCD monitor enhances usability, and convenience, catering to photographers of all skill levels. The next one is the flash unit. Although generally not necessary, but it is required for backlighted subjects or in a really low light level. When we say blacklit subjects, when a subject is blacklit, meaning the primary source of light is behind them, a flash can help balance the exposure. Without a flash, the subject may appear dark or silhouette-like against the bright background. Using a flash in this situation can illuminate the subject, ensuring that both subject and background are properly exposed. When we say low light levels, it means that in an environment with a low light level such as indoors or night, a flash can provide additional light to properly expose the subject. Without sufficient light, image capture in a low light condition may appear blurry, grainy, or underexposed. A flash helps to freeze motion, reduce noise, and improve overall image quality in such scenarios. 4. Zoom lens capability, wide angle, normal, telephoto, and even macro. Zoom lens is a type of lens that allows photographers to adjust the focal length, providing variable magnification and framing options without changing the lens itself. Number 5. Sound recording. Sound recording capability in a camera allows users to record audio clips such as short description of the image taken or ambient noise in the surrounding area. When we say description of the image taken, it means that user can record a brief audio description of the image they have captured. This can include details about the subject, location, or any other relevant information that enhances the viewer's understanding of the image. Image description can be particularly useful for visually impaired individuals or for adding context to photographs. Sixth and the last one. Removable lens that can be seen around corners. Removable lens that can be seen around corners is a specialized type of lens designed to capture images from angles not directly visible.
So, hello guys, I am the second reporter. By the way, my name is Judy Charda's sister, and the continuation of our topic is all about the method of image formation. So, the first one is the pinhole. Pinhole is a small or thin hole which produces an image entirely free from distortion, but its image is so dim that it's impractically long even if the fastest film is used. It is also not practical to enlarge the hole for more light because the larger the hole, the more blurred is the image. So, a pinhole camera in the short terms is the basic function of it is to produce an image. With a pinhole camera, this image is usually upside down and varies in clarity. Some people use pinhole cameras to study the movement of the sun over time, or what we call solarography. A type of pinhole camera is often used to view an eclipse. So the next one is the shadow method. Shadow method is an image from by this method is simply the shadow of an object. The chief of application is in X-ray photography and in making photogram. So basically, shadow method is used to enhance their image to make the image more clearly or focus on an image on an object. So the next one is the lens method. So this is the best method of image formation because it is capable of forming a sharp image even with a large opening, so it's suited for camera. So lens method help us to enhance more quality of our image or the clarity of our image. Some example of these are cameras, telescopes, movies projectors, eyeglasses, magnifying lenses, or microscopes. So let's proceed to converging lens. So some example of converging lens are the magnifying glasses, farsightedness glasses, cameras, and microscope. All use convergent lenses. If an object is at or within the focal length of the magnifying glass, it will produce an image that is upright, magnified, and virtual. So next is we have diverging lens. So diverging lenses are used in optical devices like telescope, flashlights, and in various industries including science, technology, photography, and medical equipment. The focal length of a diverging lens is the distance from the lens where parallel rays of light converge or appear to diverge. So now you are wondering what are the difference of maybe you are wondering what are the difference of converging lens and diverging lens. So if both sides of the lens curve outward, it is called a converging lens, and it will bend light from distant objects inwards towards a single point called the focal point. If both sides of the lens curve inward, it is called the diverging lens, and light from distant objects will bend outwards. So the next one is the diagram of a conductor lens with several lens components. As you can see in the image, there's a lot of lenses that use and helps or to make or to enhance the quality of our image or to make our image more beautiful or clear. So a lens is a transparent medium which either converge or diverge light rays passing through it to from an image. Generally, there are two types of lenses. So the first one is the convergent or positive or convex lens. This lens is always thicker at the center and thinner at the sides. Light passing through it are bended towards each other to other side on the other side of the lens meeting at a point. It produces a real image on the opposite side of the lens or where light are coming from. And the second one is the divergent, the negative or concave lens. This lens is always thinner at the center and thicker at the side. Light passing through it are blending away from each other as if coming from a point. It produces a virtual image on the same side of the lens or where light is coming from. So now maybe you are wondering why is a convex lens called as converging lens. So based on our research, when the rays of light coming parallel to principal axis after refraction through the lens passes through a point called focus, since it converges all the ray at one point. That is why it is said to be converging lens. While the concave lenses are also known as the diverging or negative lenses, cause parallel light rays to diverge as they pass through the lens. Diverging lenses have a virtual focal point from which the divergent rays appears to originate when project backward and create an image behind the lens. In addition, for converging lens, the focal length is always positive, while the diverging lenses always have negative focal length. So, inherent lens defect of aberration. The Diels lens for forensic photography will be capable of producing critically sharp and distortion-free image. Some other lenses are unfit for the preparation of photographic evidence because they have optical defects, also known as the aberrations. So, what is aberration? So, aberration is a property of optical systems such as lenses that cause light to be spread out over some region of space rather than focus to a point. Aberration causes the image formed by a lenses to be blurred or distorted, with the nature of the distortion depending on the type of aberrations. So, spherical aberration. When the light passing through the center part of the converging lens are blended more sharply than those rays falling in the edge. Thus, the rays coming from the edge are focused on the plane nearer the lens than those coming from the central part. So, spherical aberration is a phenomenon in which the outer parts of a lens do not bring light rays into the same focus as the central part. So we have the coma. This is another form of spherical aberration, but it concerned in the light rays entering the lens obliquely. The defect is not noticeable only the outer edge and not on the central part of the lens. If a lens has coma, circular objects produced at the corners of the negative are comet-like form, just like the spherical aberrations. It is produced of combination of lenses of the different curvatures. So, what is coma? Coma is an aberration resulting for a variance in magnification depending on the rays, height, and the lens. Actually, there are two types of coma, positive and negative. Negative coma occurs when the rays hitting the lens further from the partial region focus closer to the axis than the rays closer to the partial region. So let's proceed to curvature of field. This is a kind of defect where the image formed by a lens comes to a sharper focus in the curved surface than a flat surface. The correction of this defect is similar to spherical aberration and coma. So, curvature of field is present when the sharpest image is formed not on a flat plane but on the curved surface. Astigmatism occurs when the lens fails to focus image lines running in a different direction in the same place. So maybe you're wondering what are the difference between the curvature of field and spherical aberration. So in addition, field curvature or curvatural field result because the focal plane is actually not planar but spherical. Spherical aberration occurs in a spherical lens or mirror because these do not focus parallel rays to a point but instead along a line. So let's proceed to distortion. So distortion, a lens with distortion is incapable of rendering straight lines correctly, either horizontal, vertical lines of an object. This is caused by the placement of the diaphragm. If the diaphragm is placed in front of the lens, straight lines near the edge of the object tend to bulge outside. This is known as the barrel distortion. If the diaphragm is placed behind or the lens, straight lines near the edge tend to bend inward. This is known as the puncussion distortion. Distortion is remedied by placing the diaphragm in between the lens component, and the two opposite distortions will neutralize. So distortion is an aberration occurs because an image is more or less magnified as the object is moves further off axis. In addition, image distortion is when the straight lines of an image appear to be deformed or curved unnaturally, creating the different distortion types, including barrel, punctions, pincussions, and waveform. So the last one is chromatic aberrations. So this defect is the inability of the lens to bring the photographic rays of different wavelengths to the same focus. Ultraviolet rays bend the most, while infrared rays are bent the least when they pass through the lens. Visible light come to a focus at varying distance. This defect is reduced by utilizing compound lenses made of a single lens made up of glass or different curvatures. So, based on our research, chromatic aberration is a color distortion that creates an outline of unwanted color along the edges of objects in a photograph. Often, it appears along the metallic surface or where there is a high contrast between the light and dark objects, such as a black wall in front of the bright blue sky.
Hello everyone, I am Christine Lasola and I am stepping up as your next reporter. Today, we will tackle about the topics of lenses as according to their degree of correction to these lens aberrations. First is achromatic lens. Achromatic lens is corrected for chromatic aberrations. This lens is specially designed to control the effects of chromatic distortion or aberration. So like mura siya pinadark photography ang style niya pag-capture sa usa ka object. Muna siya achromatic lens. Second is rapid rectilinear lens. Rapid rectilinear lens is corrected for distortion. So kaning rapid rectilinear lens is mo ni siya lens nga ang iyahang angle or iyahang design sa pagka-lens is katong fisheye siya. Kaning fisheye na po ni siya sa IG filters. Makita po ni siya sa IG filters. Third is anastigmat lens. So anastigmat lens is corrected for astigmation as well as the other lens defects. Anastigmat lens or anastigmatic lens is a photographic lens completely corrected for the three main optical aberration, and astigmatism. Anastigmatic lens is mo ni siya ang lens nga can be found in old-fashioned camera like kanang picture shown in the screen mo na siya katong square nga camera sa unang panahon pa. Lastly is the aprochromatic lens. Aprochromatic lens is also corrected for astigmatism, but with higher degree of correction to color. So, apochromatic lens, naani sila similarities sa achromatic lens, like what I have said earlier, na sila similarities to according to my research. Kay ilang photography is same sila og dark photography, like ga-focus sila on dark photography ang object murag ilahang gipa-dark kana siya. So those are the types of lenses. Now let's proceed to focal length. This will determine the size of an image of an object at a given distance and the area of coverage of the lens. Focal length is the distance measured from the optical center of the lens to the film plane. Focal distance. Focal distance is the distance measured from the optical center of the lens to the film plane. So to sum it up, sa focal length or focal distance is that focal length is the distance from the focusing plane where the camera sensor is to the rear point of the lens when focused at infinity. So kabantay mo anang ubang phone nga itong example is kanang Samsung nga phone na if imuha siyang gi-focus sa usa ka object then siya murag line something nga kanang color yellow parang mo silbi mo adjust pa ng pag-capture nimo sa object is perfect siya nga pagka-capture. Recently, we've discussed about the types of lenses according to degree of correction. Now let us proceed to the type of lenses as according to the focal length. First is wide-angle lens. Wide-angle lens is a lens with a focal length. This lens will have a wide area of coverage but produces a small image size. Wide-angle lens is a lens with a focal length, and this lens will have a wide area of coverage but produces a small image size. This is usually used in taking pictures indoor or inside a small room. It is also used outdoor to get a panoramic view of a scene. So wide-angle lens is mao ni siya gapa-landscape kabantay mo anang mag-photography mo nga pina-landscape ninyo para makuha jud ninyo ang whole nga object nga inyong dapat picturean or for example is kanang mountain nga ingana siya nga example. Then let us go to the normal lens. So normal lens is a lens with a focal length approximately equal or more but not more than twice the diagonal of its negative material. This referred to as normal because its coverage corresponds to nearly the coverage of the human eye. So, na-mention na to diri why human eye because kabandi mo ng iris na to sa atong mata mo na siya mura na siya normal lens like kanang normal ra jud itong paglantaw ba. So if sa lens pa na like normal ra gud siya nga pagkuan dili siya katong pa wide angle or pina landscape or nga na ba. So kani siya nga lens is normal ra siya unlike sa wide lens na lapad jud siya nga pagka-capture. Then let's move on to telephoto lens. So telephoto lens is a lens with a focal length of more than twice the diagonal of its negative material. This lens produces a bigger image of objects at far distance but its area of coverage is smaller. Kani siya na lens is mao ni siya galamiton kalagmitan like mag-capture kag stars, moons, and kanang mga vehicles bitaw like kanang naay mga rides kanang layo siya pero ma-focus gud nimo siya like tantawon gid mo duol gud siya kay kani man gud siya nga lens kay silbi daghan gud ni siya moong kanang picture nga na shown dira is taas gud siya nga pagka camera ora siya pina-telescope nga style. Then lastly is zoom lens, a lens with variable focal length. So zoom lens are used for instances where you want to fill the frame with a subject that is far in distance and you wish it to appear much closer. So every photographer wants to have this kind of lens if lahan gud sila makafocus sa object like kanang picture dra sa screen nga na for example kanang naamoy lahang i-capture nga unique kind of animals. So, syempre, aggressive man ang ubang animals. So, parang makakuan po doon, makakapture po doon perfectly is gamit jud ta og di man ko photographer pero mga photographer mo gamit jud na sila og lens nga katong zoom jud para jud makapture nila ang masterpiece. This picture shown in the screen are the camera lenses of different length. Lens diaphragm, a camera component within a lens comprised of overlapping metal blades, or the iris, that open and close to change the size of the opening. So, kana siyang diaphragm is mura na siya pong sa tuang mata like kana bitong kuan imong flashlightan imong mata kana imong iris is if may go siya og flash mura siya mugamay nakasulay kuan na wala ko lingaw sa balay. Then, if imong kuan, ipong palayo ang flash or ang light is mudako siya kusob. Muna siya diaphragm as, muna siya kuan diaphragm as controller of speed. And lastly, let us move on to diaphragm as controller of speed. So, it is possible to regulate the amount of light passing through the lens. The diaphragm serves as a speed throttle. So here are the images on diagram opening.
Good morning, everyone. Sir, good morning, sir. I am Noelin Barilio, the fourth reporter of Group 4. I will be reporting about lens diaphragm. Lens diaphragm, in between the lens component of a camera, is a metal diaphragm which can be expanded or constricted by moving a turning ring on the lens mount of barrel. The size of the opening is indicated. Try markings of eye numbers. Each F number represents the ratio of the focal length of the lens and the diameter of the opening. The common series of F number are 1.8, 2.2, 8, 4, 5, 6.8, 11, 18, and 22. So lens diaphragm is mo ni siya katong i-adjust turning ring on the lens mount of a barrel nga. I-adjust na siya i-adjust ma-adjust na siya para sa light, sa pag-adjust sa picture. So muna siya lens diaphragm kato na siyang circle nga i-adjust sa mga photographer so kabalo na mo unsala na. Nana siya common ratio F number 1.8, 2.2 nga makita ninyo na sa picture sa next slide. So, let's proceed to the diaphragm as controller of speed. By expanding or constricting the diaphragm, it is possible to regulate the amount of light passing through the lens. The diaphragm serves as a speed throttle. In the series of F numbers, the lowest number is the widest opening of the one that give the most amount of light, and conversely. The highest number is the smallest opening or the one that give the least amount of light. So, kung ang F number niya is the lowest number, na may naka-indicate nga kuan nga number sa each F number, kung lowest number siya is wide yung opening and it gives the most amount of light, and conversely. So if highest ang number, so ang ikuan niya is smallest opening, gamay siyang opening or the one that give the least amount of light, so least ang yahang amount of light. So as you can see in the picture indicates the F number. So kato kung gingon ganiya nga na 2.2, na 2, 4, so mo ni siya i-adjust sa mga photographer inana. Then the next picture is a illustration of the depth of field. So as you can see in the picture, mo ni ako giingon mention na F2, na F1.4, so mo na siya iyahang mga opening. So as you can see, ang pinakagamay og number is the large opening. Ang pinagkadako og number is the smallest opening. So as you can see, F1.4, nakita ninyo nga ay dako siyang opening, then the F22 is gamay siyang opening. So mo na siya kalahian, mo na siya i-adjust or adjustment of the lens diaphragm. Next is the diaphragm as controller of depth of field. So mo akong gipakita ganiha. In theory, it is not possible to focus a lens in more than one distance at the same time. In actual practice, however, in any given lens object that are nearer or farther than the object focused upon will be reasonably sharp. Depth of field is defined as the distance between the nearest and the farthest object in apparent sharp focus when the lens is set or focused on a given distance. So, ang depth of field daw is mo ni siya distance in between the nearest and the farthest object in apparent sharp focus. So kung ang lens is makafocus siya on a given distance, ang depth of field is mo na siya distance between the nearest and the farthest object. So there are influencing factors of depth of field. So first is the size of the diaphragm opening. So as you can see, katong gipang pakita na ganiha, mo to siya mga factors. So the general rule of governing this factor is the smaller the opening, the longer is the depth of field. Conversely, the wider is the opening, the shorter is the depth field. So kung pasabot, kung smaller ang opening, longer ang yan depth of field. So kung gamay ang opening, mas taas ang yan depth of field. So conversely, the wider is the opening. So kung wide ang yung opening, the shorter is the depth field. So mura siya kuan ba vice versa, kung gamay ang yung opening, longer ang yung depth of field. Kung wider ang yung opening, shorter ang depth of field. So, the exception to this rule is the presence or the effect of diffraction when a small opening is used. So, next is the picture of, this is a photography with, a certain photography of, a photography with wide or long depth of field. So, wide or long depth of field. So, katong gipakita ganiha na ang gingan sa general rule is the smaller the opening, the longer is the depth of field. So, ang gi-precise diri is wide or long depth of field man siya. So, wide or long depth is smaller ang opening nga gigamit ani niya. Smaller ang opening nga gigamit ani nga picture. As you can see, wide ang iyahang depth of field. Wide and long yan depth of field. So, ang gigamit ani niya is small. Ang gigamit ani niya is small opening. So, next is the focal length of lens. The focal length of lens, the general rule is the shorter the focal length, the wider or longer is the depth of field and vice versa. The longer is the focal length, the shorter is the depth field. So, ang gingon diri, kung shorter ang focal length, the wider or the longer is the depth of field. So, kung short ra daw ang focal length, was wide and long ang depth of field. So, the vice versa, the longer kung long sad ang focal length, so short sad ang depth of field. So, vice versa ra na siya. Then, next is the picture. So, ang picture is indicate ni siya a photography of a short depth field. So, mo ni siya a short depth of field. So, kung makita ninyo ani, longer lens ni ang large opening ani ang gigamit dako, wide opening ang gigamit ani kay ang picture ga-indicate man og na-indicate man sa picture nga short ang yan depth of width. So as you can see, naray usa nga na focus. Kanirang bato nga galutod may na focus sa camera. So ang gigamit ani nga opening is wider opening. So next is circle of confusion. Another factor that affects depth of field. So, another factor, the third, let's say, upat ka factor that affects depth of field. So, katong gidiscuss ganiha, the first one is the size of the diaphragm opening. So, kung gamay ang yan diaphragm, dako sad ang iyahang depth of field. Kung wide ang yang opening, short ang yan depth of field. So, the second is the focal length of the lens. So, the general, the shorter the focal length, moras Japon, vice versa ra Japon. Kung short ang yang focal length, long ang yang depth of field. Kung long ang yang focal length, short ang yang depth of field. So, next is the circle of confusion. So, circle of confusion is another factor that affects depth of field. So, ang circle of confusion is a circle of confusion which is considered acceptable. A circle of confusion refers to a small circle which is seen by the eye, not a circle but a dot or point. So, circle of confusion. So, the circle of confusion is the measurement of where a point of light grows to a circle. So, it is also called the zone of confusion. It's measured in fractions of a millimeter. The circle of confusion is what defines what's in or out of focus. So, ang circle of confusion is what's in or out of focus. So, ang one of the factor nga maka-affect sad sa depth of field is the circle of confusion. So, circle of confusion is what defines what's in or out of focus. So, muna siya circle of confusion. So, next is the hyperfocal distance. Hyperfocal distance is this is the nearest distance at which a lens is focused with a given particular diaphragm opening, which will give the maximum depth of field. So, ang hyperfocal distance is nearest distance which a lens is focused with a given particular diaphragm. So, ang hyperfocal kuno mo ni siya yung nearest distance. So, pag focus sa particular diaphragm opening, mo ni siya yung nearest distance nga makahatag og maximum depth of field. So, maura ni ako so this is the end of my report. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I will be the next reporter. My name is Princess Angel A. Kupat. So, diaphragm as controller of definition. The term definition is the ability of the lens to form clear images of fine details. Decreasing the lens aperture improves definition as it removes the small amount of haze caused by residual aberration. So, diaphragm as a control of definition is it seems like you're discussing the role of the diaphragm in improving the definition of images formed by the lens. Decreasing the aperture size can indeed enhance definition by reducing the impact of residual aberrations and minimizing haze. This results in clear images with finer detail. Photographic perspective are correctly viewing distance. Correct viewing distance determined by the relative distance between you and the subject. There's no right or wrong focal length to use as it depends on how you want your image to look, but it is a great way to manipulate the background in your images. So my explanation for that is the optimal viewing distance in photography depends on how close you are to your subject. There's no right or wrong focal length. It's about achieving the desired look. So focal length choice can manipulate the background with wider lenses, creating depth, and telephoto lenses, compressing the scene. This understanding helps photographers craft images that convey their intended message effectively. Focusing. Focusing method clearly indicates whether the object distance on the camera is out of focus or not. If the object is not well focused, the object to the photograph will appear blurred. So my explanation for focusing is that if magpicture kag isa ka object or unya dili siya ma-indicate or ma-picture og tarong, nadyo'y possibility na ang imong i-photograph na item or object is ma-blurred or di na siya maklaro. So, dapat jud siya i-focus og tarong aron ma-tsada ang pagkakuha. And dili siya ma-blurred. Scale bed or focusing scale is a type of focusing method that is necessary to determine the distance to the subject and set the focus using a scale printed on the lens. So my explanation for that is a scale bed or focusing scale requires you to manually determine the distance to the subject and set the focus using a scale printed on the lens. It is a more traditional method compared to autofocus system commonly found in modern cameras. Rangefinders. Rangefinder camera allow the photographer to make quick exposures because they focus using a dual image range finding device. So my explanation for that is rangefinder cameras are known for their quick focusing capabilities due to their use of dual image range finding device. This allows photographers to make quick exposures with precision, making rangefinders popular for street and documentary photography, where speed and accuracy are essential. Split image. Within this type, when one looks through the viewfinder of a camera, There is a circle on the central part with a line running across the circle. This method of focusing is standard in single-lens reflex camera, since the viewing and focusing is made from light rays passing through the lens. It is not affected by the problem of parallax. So my explanation for that is the split image focusing method in single lens reflex or SLR camera utilizes a circle with a line running across it in the central part of the viewfinder. This setup allows for precise focusing by aligning the split images unaffected by parallax, as it relies on light rays passing through the lens. Coincident image. This method of focusing is usually used on compact cameras with a fixed lens with this type. When you look into the viewfinder, you'll notice a rectangle in other cameras. It's circled on the upper left portion of the viewfinder. So my explanation for that is the coincident image focusing method commonly found in impact cameras with fixed lenses features a rectangle or circle in the viewfinder. This design aids in achieving focus by aligning images typically situated in the upper left portion of the viewfinder in some cameras. Ground glass. This ground glass found at the back of a camera or in the case of a modern cameras also coupled with a viewfinder. The point of focus is where the image is sharpest. If the image appears to be blurred, fuzzy or not sharp, it is out of focus. So my explanation for that is the ground glass serves as a surface where the camera's image is projected for manual focusing. When the image is sharp on the ground glass, it indicates that the camera is focused correctly on the subject. If it appears blurred or fuzzy, it suggests the focus is off. This is crucial for ensuring sharp and clear photographs. Depth of focus or focal range. When a lens is focused on any given subject, there is one lens to film distance when the image is sharpest. As the lens move close to the film or farther away from the film, the sharpness decrease. So my explanation for that is the depth of focus, also known as the focal range, refers to the distance range in front of and behind the focus subject where the image appears acceptably sharp. As you move the lens closer to or farther away from the film or sensor, the sharpness decreases gradually, resulting in a specific zone of acceptable sharpness around the point of focus. This concept is essential for understanding how much a scene will be in focus in a photograph, especially in techniques like depth of field control. Parallax. Parallax is the change of appearance and orientation of objects when seen from two viewpoints. It is also used to refer to the distance between the viewpoints themselves. So my explanation for that is parallax refers to the apparent shift or difference in the position or orientation of objects when viewed from two different viewpoints. This effect is commonly observed when an object appears to change its position against a background when viewed from different angles. The term can also be used to describe the distance between the viewpoints themselves, especially in the context of stereoscopic imaging or in the design of optical instruments like rangefinders and camera. Shutters. A shutter is a device that opens to uncover the film to make an exposure for an accurately timed interval, then closes automatically. Most shutters are spring-powered and are controlled by mechanical linkages. So my explanation for that is a shutter in photography is a mechanism that opens and closes to control the duration of exposure to light on the film or image sensor. It ensures that light only hits the film or sensor for a precise amount of time, determining the exposure of the photograph. Most shutters are spring-powered and controlled by mechanical linkages. True electronic shutters are also common in digital cameras. This precise timing is crucial for obtaining well-exposed images.
Good day, sir. By the way, my name is Weiji Sayre. So, I'm going to talk about the two major types of shutter. First, we have between the lens or central shutter. So this shutter is located in between the lens component. It is made of metal blades. Its action starts from the center towards the sides, then closes back to the center. So this type of shutter can be synchronized with a flash unit with every shutter speed. So a central shutter could be located just behind the lens of the DSLR. So makita ra jud siya nato dayon behind ra jud sa part sa DSLR. So second, we have the focal plane shutter. So this shutter is located directly in front of the film or on the focal plane. It is usually made of cloth or metal curtain. Its action starts from one side, closes on the opposite side. This type of shutter can give us a faster shutter speeds than the between the lens shutter. So the focal plane shutter, it allows faster shutter speed but it is less accurate in timing. So naadjud sila kalahian sa between the lens o ang focal plane shutter. So B, exposure. It is an action of a recording radiant energy that produces a change in a material of substance sensitive to such energy. So from the word expose, so nadyo siya like for example ang isa ka photography naa siya kaning more exposed siya sa sun, so mas kung mag-capture siya og photo mas clear and kanang makakatch og attention sa mga tawo kay because of the exposure sa sun and then because of the sun mas nay additional nga what you call that one additional nga maka-attract sa mga tao or kanang galantaw sa image. So here are some simple rule provides a universal exposure guide for color and black and white films are based on the following factors. So we have film speed. So it indicates how the film is too light or sensitive, and it also lets your camera or light better and it also gets needed to get a good exposure and equality of light. And if kung naay, so of course if a movie has a film speed, of course like for example ang tao is nakabalo sila how longer does the movie takes, so mas mainganyo sila mulantaw og mga movies nga kanang like igo lang jud ang speed sa film kay kung mas longer magod like makasing sila ay gakalas-kalas na lamang ni og connection or something like that. So it is very important nga na ay film speed para makakuan pod sa mga manglantaw, mas mainganyo sila mulantaw sa usa ka film. Next, we have lighting condition. So lighting condition, the position and the quality of light can affect any number of the things in your final image, the clarity and many more. So kung naatay lightning sa ato ang image, of course mas tsada lantawon, mas mainganyo ang mga tawo nga molantaw sa imong kuan, then mas klaro pod og unsay like message or somewhat like a subject sa image nga gusto ipaabot sa photographer, sa photographer. Next, we have type of subject. So, need jud nato mo huna-huna og subject sa atoa nga image, of course. For the people nga makabalo sila unsay imong ganan ipa hiwatig sa isa ka picture or frame nga or something like kanang gina-show nimo sa tao, and then mas dali silang makasabot. So kung atong i-relate ang type of subject sa isa ka crime, like for example na isa ka photographer, kung ang iya yung subject is the kanang evidence, so of course ang iyang mas i-focus is katong nakita nga evidence sa ka crime, like for example ang knife or something nga unsay gigamit sa isa ka crime nga nahitabo di ara. Bracketing. Bracketing is the technique used when exposure calculation that will give a desired results in a certain make several exposure or less than and more than and a calculated exposure by 2 or 4 shots each. So when you bracket your shots, you take exactly the same picture of your subject. All slides are different exposure but same rajud ang subject ana. Second, exposure method. Photographer exposure method measures light intensities and have calculator or computer to find camera settings that will produce good exposures. The exposure calculations are mechanical device or sets of reference tables from which exposure data can be obtained and observed. Subjects and lighting conditions. These are the following. The heart of the matter is a light cell made of selenium. Selenium is used as a light matrix, a thin film of materials or metallic. Selenium. B. Cadmium sulfide. It is used when large capacities and high discharge rates. C. Silicon blue cell. It is a blue filter over it that reduces the amount of red visible to visible light. D. Gallium arsenic phosphorus cell. It is a compound of gallium and arsenic. It is a vital semiconductor and common use to manufacture devices. Proper exposure with the use of an exposure method is done by: first, we have incident light method reading. The illumination falling from a source onto a scene or subject is measured. Second, we have reflected light matter reading from 18% gray hand held at subject position on our area or from a key subject area like the skin. So, existing light, also called as ambient light or available photography. This is the taking of photographs using only the light that happens to be seen. This could be a form of natural sources, from windows, doors, skylight, and twilight or after dark, or from artificial light sources like table lamps, ceiling fixtures light, spotlights, neon lights, candles, fireplace or bonfire, etc. We have also flash photography. It is a brief of light produced by burning metal wires or flash bulbs or an electric discharge through a gas-filled table or electronic flash is the most common supplements light for still photography. So we have here exposure with flash. First, we have shutter speed, both electrical flash until a flash bulb provides light in relatively high illumination level in a short period of time. Because this is the importance of the camera, shutter is to open for a brief period of time. Second, we have lens opening. Flash exposure may be computed by the use of guide number of a flash unit. A guide number is usually dependent on the film speed and the light output electronics flash units. Guide number is base. Last thing, we have also on-camera flash. It is a flash on a camera or held close to the camera with the bracket provides a direct hard light because it puts the maximum level of light of the subject. It creates a problem for the red eye and a human subject, harsh shadow of subject with a near background and reflection from a shiny spot in the background. So, generally, on-camera flash is very useful, especially when nighttime. We can use it, and of course, especially when we relate it into crime. Pwede nato siya gamiton kanang magabi kanang naay crime na mahitabo. And of course, to determine those things, or especially the evidences, we need to on our camera or on camera flash for us to see those things, especially those evidences that are found in the crime scene or such a crime where it happens.
Off-camera flash. With this unit, the flash can be moved away from the camera at arm's length or more. When the flash unit is used in this manner, the photographer can improve effectiveness of the flash lighting. So, from the word off-camera flash, so wala ang flash sa camera, like separated ang flash sa camera. So, like for example is multiple flash. More than one flash unit is used. One is connected to the camera with a flash cord while the other is attached to a slave unit. So, from the word multiple flash, so daghang flash ang nakapalibot sa subject. So, one ana is naara sa camera, nakatapot ra sa camera, while ang other ana is separated na sa camera. So, next is fill up flash. When you want to eliminate is used illumination the shadow areas or subjects so detailed that otherwise will not appear clearly in the final picture. So, it is particularly helpful in situations where there is strong black lighting or shadows, helping to brighten dark areas while preserving natural looking lighting. So, kani siya is illuminating shadows and balancing exposure by adding a burst of light from a flash unit. Open flash. The shutter speed is set at B, and once the shutter is open, is activated or fired, released manually. The shutter is released or is closed. So, open flash is typically refers to a specific technique in photography where the flash is used in a deliberate and noticeable way to creatively enhance the image. It involves using a flash unit to illuminate the subject or scene directly, often resulting in a bold and stylized look. Bounce flash. Instead of the lighting going directly to the subject, it is bounced on light-colored ceilings or walls near the subject. This will give a softer effect on the subject and also diminish or reduce harsh shadow that will be casted by the subject. So, kanin siya is ang flash kay dili jud siya i-direct sa subject. So, ibanda-banda siya iagi siya sa like light-colored nga ceilings, just like the example picture below. Umbrella flash. Modified type of bounce flash by using an umbrella lined with silver, white, blue, or amber colored, especially made for photography. Flash is mounted on the handle of umbrella aimed at its inside center. The inside center is then aimed toward the subject. So kani siya is ginagamit ni siya para like ma-focus jud sa light kung unsa ang subject. So next is ring flash. This round or circular flash unit usually placed around the outer end of the camera lens. This is used for taking close-ups or macro photography, especially in medical photography. So it is a specialized type of flash unit that encircles the camera lens, emitting light evenly around the lens axis. Photographic filters. So there are two types of filters used in photography. First is optical filter, are made either of glass or acetate. Optical filters are used primarily to control exposing energy, visible wavelengths, ultraviolet, infrared rays, and the composition of working illumination in areas where sensitized materials are handled. So it is used to modify the properties of light by selectively transmitting specific wavelengths or colors while attenuating others. Next is particle or solution filter, used in special photographic procedure like in infrared luminescence. Pictures are taken by white light falling on a colored object. Very few things in nature are truly neutral white light in the sum total of all colors of rainbow, while black is the absence of all colors. So this is a device used to remove particles, impurities, or contaminants from a fluid, liquid, or gas. Filter factor. Because a filter prevents or subtracts some portions of the exposing energy from reaching the film, exposure must be increased in order to obtain proper result. The amount of increase required with panchromatic film is expressed by a number called filter factor, since the wavelength composition of a tungsten light and daylight is not the same. Different factors may be required to obtain correct exposure. Data and instructional sheets usually include factors of a number of different filters. For example, a filter factor of 2 require 1 step more exposure for compensation. So example is let's say you are using a neutral density filter with a filter factor of 4 times. This means the neutral density filter reduces the amount of light entering the camera by 2 steps, since doubling the filter factor corresponds to reducing light by 1 step. Types of filters. First, balancing filter. A filter used to change the color quality of the exposing light in order to secure proper color balance for artificial light films. A light balance filter is not a standard term in photography or optics. However, based on context, it could be a type of filter used to adjust or correct the color, temperature, or light to achieve a desired white balance in photography. Next is color compensating filter. They used to change the overall color balance of photographic result obtained with color films and to compensate for deficiencies in the quality of exposing energy. So this is a type of photographic filter used to adjust or correct color balance by selectively filtering certain wavelengths of light. Next is neutral density filter. This filter is used when light is too bright to allow the use of desired f number or shutter speed with a particular film. So this is a type of photographic filter that reduces the amount of light entering the camera lens without affecting the color of the light. Next is polarizing filter. It's used to reduce or minimize reflections and subjects like water glass and highly polished surfaces. So it is a type of photographic filter that is used to reduce reflections and glare from surfaces such as water and glass, enhance colors, and improve overall image contrast. Special application of filter. Filter can be used to introduce deliberate departures from normal color balance either to enhance a particular color for mood and preference of the photographer. Next is for critical work with films that are not ordinarily like infrared rays or in ultraviolet fluorescence method. To correct an undesirable overall tint of color, especially in color positive film or transparency. To modify the color balance of transparencies which show overall tint. to balance light sources used in color printing, and to compensate for particular absorption like in taking photographs underwater or through tinted windows. Camera care. Most modern cameras are designed to give a long-term service. You can add to each service by handling them carefully and taking care of your equipment properly. So, taking good care of your camera is essential to ensure longevity and optimal performance. So, here are some useful tips. First is keep it clean and dry always. Second is have a cleaning kit with these simple items: bristle brush for cleaning the exterior, soft camels, hairbrush for cleaning lens, and for camera body protection, have a camera case with strap. For the protection of the lens, cover it with a lens cap. For field work in fire or remote areas, it is advisable to use a sturdy camera bag with dividers lined with materials to keep apart the camera from extra lenses and other accessories or films. If the camera is to be stored or will not be used for quite some time, do the following. First, press the shutter release button to release the tension on the shutter spring. Second is place a silica gel bag in front of the lens for absorption or growth of molds within the lens component. And last, move batteries from camera to prevent corrosion due to battery leak. Conclusion. In summary, cameras are incredibly useful instruments that have revolutionized the way we record events, seize and cherish moments, and visually communicate. Cameras allow us to clearly and precisely record and share experiences, from personal photography to professional uses in fields like forensics, surveillance, journalism, and the arts. Cameras are becoming more widely available, adaptable, and powerful as technology develops, creating new artistic and useful opportunities. Cameras, be they high-end DSLRs, specialized forensic imaging systems, or smartphones, enable people and organizations to share stories, acquire information, and investigate the world through a lens.
So for the recommendation, for photographing crime scenes, you want a camera with good low light performance, high resolution, and the ability to capture fine details accurately. The Nikon D850 or the Sony Alpha A7R are excellent choices for this purpose. Both cameras offer high resolution, 48.7 megapixels for the D850 and 61 megapixels for the exceptional image quality and excellent dynamic range. Additionally, they perform well in low light conditions, which is crucial for capturing accurate images at crime scenes. Pair either of these cameras with a good quality prime lens for sharpness and detail, and you'll have a reliable setup for documenting crime scenes effectively. So, for the recommendation, we are recommending a good quality of cameras for crime scene photographing